So does the weather in Northeast Ohio. And let's be honest, in the lives of some people that we know and love very dearly, things kind of suck too. Love you guys. You know who you are. However, there are two things in my life right now that, that are coming that give me hope and give me solace. One, pitchers and catchers report in 25 days, so therefore, once again, TGIB, thank God it's baseball. And more importantly, next Saturday night. Because while some people view a certain premium event pay-per-view in April as the most wonderful time of the year, nope. In 8 days from right now, it's Wrestling Christmas. It's the Rumble. Welcome to Wrestling with Egos. We are so glad you have joined us tonight because we are going to be talking a lot of Royal Rumble, a few current events, a few things leading into stuff, but mostly our favorite Royal Rumble moments of all time. Right now, as you can see, it's a two-man show. KD may or may not be joining us because this episode of Wrestling with Egos is brought to you by migraine.
My head. My head.
Fair point.
The gift that keeps on giving. It's like syphilis and Simon Dean. Those two things are not related. My name's Patrick. Welcome to the show, and I'm joined as I am each and every week by my partner in crime, my best friend in the entire world, and even though we are not blood related, the uncle to my daughter, Brian. How are you, Uncle Brian?
I am well. I am here. I am ready to talk all things Rumble. The Royal Rumble is hot take here. The Royal Rumble is the thing that the WWE consistently does the best out of anything they do, I think.
But say, Mofo, you better choose your words wisely on this one.
Because, let's be fair. Survivor Series has been a long time since it can be considered a Big Four event. It's been a long time. Mania sometimes delivers and sometimes disappoints. SummerSlam, they're too busy chasing the latest Hollywood crossover guy who wants to be a wrestler or play wrestler or whatever. But the Rumble, I will go out and say, pretty much since the late 1999, 2000, 2001, it's the thing they do the best, time and time again. There's been very few clunker Rumbles.
Let's be honest. Since where you can really nail it down, the beginning of the Cena era.
Okay. That's
the beginning of the Cena era and beyond. The Royal Rumble is worst case a solid B.
Yes. That's a good little spot for you, B+ player.
Oh God, for fuck's sake. Anyway, let's go ahead and kind of move into things. We're going to talk some current, some not so much. Brian has some fill in the blank questions to ask us at the end. So I might be asking some questions during the course of this show that might be those fill in the blanks. And if I am, Brian, just tell me. We'll get to that later.
Okay, that's fair.
So before we even get into our favorite Rumble memories, let's kind of set the stage for what's happening next weekend. There's some shakeup. There's some questions. There's a whole lot of we don't know on certain things. And a big monkey wrench just got thrown into everything earlier today because reports are out all over the internet that Seth Rollins has a partial tear of his MCL and his meniscus, which is a similar injury to what happened to him when he was WWE champion. And then ended up losing the title, coming back, and then having that WrestleMania match with Triple H where Stephanie went through the table, which was a great spot, by the way. So that puts this year's is it just me, or does this Mania seemed to be one of the most up in the air. Sorry, this year's Mania. This year's Rumble seemed to be one of the most up in the air Rumbles that we've had in recent history.
If by up in the air you mean there's so many permutations about who could win, and it feeling like, okay, I understand why they made that call, then yes. To me, there's about, not so much with the women, and we'll talk about that later on in the fill in the blanks, because I had a hard time with the women's roster. Like, okay, who's going to win this thing? But we'll get to that in a little while. But with the men, there's 7 or 8 people that you could make a case, here's why they should win it. And I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to spoil things later on. Well, no, but it's depending on who creative, and what stories they're going to tell. And I think Rollins' injury is forcing people to pull their erasers out and sharpen their pencils up again, because it's a bit of a problem.
B, I think, especially with the Rollins thing, I think it's well within our realm right now to not necessarily talk, wreck anything that we might be talking about later, to literally throw those names out there. Because for me, obviously the two no-brainers that people are going to discuss are going to be Cody and CM Punk. Freaking duh.
Yeah.
On both of those. Those two, definite. You've also got any of the 3 guys that are in the 4-way match with Roman. Those guys could easily make, depending on when the Rumble is, they could make another return appearance. So you could see Randy Orton twice in a night, or LA Knight, or AJ Styles. Gunther is a massive possibility. And my dark horse, which I find it very funny that this year he is a dark horse, and 4 years ago, I called it, like, nope, Drew McIntyre is going to win the damn thing. And this year, he's a dark horse, but if they were to give him the Rumble win, wouldn't surprise me. Would totally make sense, too. But I think...
And here's what I'll interrupt you really quick before I lose this thought that's in my head. Here's what I'm starting to think about Cody Rhodes. What I'm starting to think about Cody Rhodes is that he has warmed up to this notion of, I'm always going to be finishing my story. And he's going along with it. Because there was all this hue and cry when, The Rock made his tease that he made you're taking Cody's spot and stuff like that. Maybe Cody's fine being in chase mode and putting other people over and doing all of those things, because in his mind he's paying dues and he's doing all that kind of stuff, and he's just trying to wait for his shot. And if that's the case, then it opens up the door for all these other gentlemen that you're talking about.
And you know how I feel about people being in chase mode. Chase mode is beautiful. Chase mode is chase mode is a storyline that writes itself. Because once you're no longer in chase mode, then what do you do?
Well, because you talked about pitchers and catchers reporting. My Cubbies were in chase mode for how many hundreds of years?
Right.
And when they finally did it in 2016, it was a beautiful thing, and it's not been quite the same since.
Not even that. Let's keep it in wrestling. Bryan Danielson, WrestleMania 30, chase mode, chase mode, chase mode. Roadblock after roadblock after roadblock put in front of him, and then he wins it, and then what?
Yes.
Same thing. I mean, it would be the same thing if you had,
Hangman, Adam Page in AEW.
Thank you.
Same thing.
I mean, what do you do once you get there? I mean, that's the beauty of having. See, it's a double-edged sword having a heel champion and a babyface challenger, because what makes that babyface challenger so great is the chase. But then you put the title on the babyface challenger, and now it's the babyface champion, and then to me, you run the risk of turning that babyface challenger into Super Cena because he just defeats everybody that you throw at him. I mean, all you're doing is just keeping that same momentum on that babyface challenger. I mean, that's why I, don't have a problem with the fact that Roman's held, even though Roman, we rarely see him. I have no problem with the fact that Roman has held that title for 1,234 days as of today. And they made a big deal out of it because
that knowledge on us.
Huh?
You couldn't wait to drop that knowledge on us.
No, because it's easy, because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. But I mean, I think the men's rumble is as up in the air as the women's isn't.
Well, do you just want to go with that fill in the blank right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Your first fill in the blank, ladies and gentlemen, is this year's Royal Rumble winner for men and women will be blank and blank.
Women, Becky. They are going to give us Becky and Rhea, and as the.
See, now I didn't consider her because I thought she already had the promo where she was like circling Rhea, and Rhea was like sizing her up, and she said, "You might just be the best woman around, and I've got to go out of my way to try and prove that you're not."
Right.
I just thought that was, I'm just challenging you right now.
No, because fast forward that same promo, Rhea says to Becky, there is only one woman in WWE that wants you to win the Rumble more than yourself, and that's me.
Okay.
I'll see you at WrestleMania.
See, I thought something had already been set up between the two of them.
Rhea pretty much showed the hand of the company, like, it's going to be Becky and Rhea at Mania. And because let's be honest, there's nobody else in the women's division that really deserves to win that other than Becky right now. Nobody else is hot.
That's true. I said Bayley because, and that's because I erroneously thought that the two of them already had something set up. Because then I looked at who else has the belts. Io Sky is the SmackDown champion.
Uh-huh.
And going on with that and just trying to come up with some story for Damage Control, more dissension in the ranks. What if Bayley wins and turns on Io and says, I want your title?
Right.
So that's the only reason I wrote her down. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm contractually obligated, folks, to put Bayley over as part of the Holy Trinity.
Right. I think it's, like I said, the men's Rumble is as up in the air as I think the women's isn't.
You're going to love my answer for the men. Because you're going to be like, well, what took you so long? I wrote down LA Knight. Because and from the standpoint of we got to see what we have with him. If he's just a nice merch mover and
There's right now, in my opinion, there's too many people better.
Okay.
Than LA Knight. LA Knight would be a world heavyweight champion on one side of the brand or the other if it weren't for names like Rhodes, Punk, Orton,
Gunther.
Styles, Gunther.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's kind of like, for a lot of our friends that, over in England, this is all going to go right over your head. So bear with us for just a minute. Well, I was listening on ESPN radio earlier today, and they were talking about the quarterbacks that were in the playoffs or are still in, and whether or not changes need to be made, like very specifically with the Dallas Cowboys. And they're literally looking at quarterbacks and going, okay, who would you rather have, blank or Dak Prescott?
I saw this list. Somebody on Facebook posted, here's a list of all the free agents, and you guys want to cut Dak Prescott. And that list, folks, is kind of bleak.
Oh yeah, but it's
Easton Stick, come on down.
Anyway, but kind of getting back on topic. Who would you rather see with one of the big titles around their waist, blank or LA Knight? And I got to be honest, My list of people that I would rather see the title on, other than LA Knight, is larger than 5.
Yes, that's fair.
The 5 people that we already mentioned. I'd also add The Miz. I'd also add Kevin Owens. Before, I don't know where that thumbs up came from.
No, either.
But you know what?
Make sure you like us if you're on Facebook.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, click the bell for the notifications, all that good stuff. But
I'd add one more guy to that list only because the guy definitely deserves it. Shinsuke Nakamura. I know that he had a nice run with Rollins and stuff like that.
It was fantastic.
This guy needs a title run, a consequential title run, at some point before the ship sails on his career. I'm not saying he's going to win, but you know what? It'd be really nice.
There's another one, Priest.
Yes. Yes.
Here's my thing, especially now with Rollins hurt. Damian Priest will cash in that Money in the Bank either at Mania or the night after.
Because he's in danger of making his briefcase irrelevant, too, with the amount of times he's teased it and the false starts and everything else.
Oh, no. That's because it's always looming in the background.
Okay.
You see it every week. They may not mention it, but you see that briefcase every week, that purple briefcase, say your Money in the Bank. Very low key. They have, I believe they have done a great job of reminding you that.
Hey, I'm still here.
That briefcase is the sword of Damocles.
Yeah.
Just hanging right there, just waiting to. And they've been very low key about it, but it's been there the entire time, which I'm fine with. I like the way they do it, and honestly, when they finally put a title on Priest, I think it's going to be magical. Especially if they can keep R-Truth involved, because my God, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
He was on a show, I forget which show he was on, but they informed him that he outsold John Cena in merch for the whatever period.
Yeah.
And it made him so happy, like the smile on his face was 20 miles wide.
I was on the bump.
I did? Hey,
Hey, R-Truth has not had the type of career that would be worthy of the greatest of all time discussions. But Jesus, man, if that dude isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer when his time comes, I don't know what.
Well, he'll walk in to whatever class.
He's a 90s. I think he's a 97 time 24/7 365 I-95 South European.
He's one of the best examples I can think of a guy who realized what his role should be.
Oh,
and just embraced the ever-living hell out of it. And it's a good lesson for people trying to break into the wrestling business. You're not always going to be Roman Reigns. You're not always going to be Charlotte Flair, but there's a spot for you for what talents you have. Orange Cassidy understands that. R-Truth understands that.
Here's my take on R-Truth, and we'll get back on topic.
Okay.
R-Truth is the only man in wrestling history to accomplish a feat that I thought was impossible. On live television, he broke Paul Heyman. He broke Paul Heyman, and he broke Brock Lesnar live on television, live on Monday Night Raw.
I will never forget that.
Lesnar's face was as red as the flannel on your shirt, laughing so damn hard. And I'm like, that right there is comedic talent. And to that, I simply say, my bad. That's on me. My bad. Anyway, but if I had to, gun to the head, pick a man to win the Royal Rumble this year, I'm gonna need alcohol to do it.
Stone Cold's not in the Rumble this year, so you can't pop a cold one.
Forgive me. Just forgive me.
Are you about to do this?
The Rock.
Oh, Lord. No. Jesus, no.
Because there's no softball. They're not giving us anything. That, that douche canoe, and yeah, I called him a douche canoe. That douche canoe is gonna charge into the Rumble at number 30. And he's gonna do it. I hope to God I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong, too.
But.
And this should be a sign of how much I've grown.
Yeah.
In the past 6, 7, 8 years. Because I can realize now there's a pattern with him. He shows up and he derails storylines. Mm-hmm. And he derails the progress that the guys who are there are making. I mean, I'm the first to admit that I ran around my living room and got in everybody's face in 2013 when he beat Punk for the title at the Royal Rumble. And I'm like, in your face, in your face, in your face. But now hindsight being 2020, I can see what a problem that was in the long run. Because it hastened Punk's departure from the company in the first place. Because he's like, I can't believe you're going to let some part-timer, because that was the first time I realized The Rock's promo game had slipped to the degree that it had, because Punk rocked him to sleep on all the interactions they had with each other. And that's why I'm hoping that it was just a tease and he's staying away, because if your promo game is all the greatest hits pieced together like a first grader's art project from 1999, that's not what we need anymore. And if you're gassed after one move in the ring, that's not what we need anymore.
They're gonna shoehorn it, because I'm sorry, you don't make that statement and then the show go off the air without there being something. I mean, they only talked about it for 2 weeks after it happened.
Oh, now it's radio silence again. So I mean, it's
and that's exactly the point. It's radio silence. That way, we put the bug in your ear, and then we stop talking about it. But you're going to speculate, and you're going to think, and then 3, 2, 1. I
don't know. I have another fill in the blank. You're going to love my answer.
Okay. Well, first off, you haven't said anything as far as a man winning the Rumble.
Oh, I said LA Knight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. All right, continue.
LA Knight and Bayley are my picks, but I can see now after your explanations why that's probably not going to happen.
I like one of my picks, and I hope the other one I'm dead wrong.
Right. This year's legend spot. And I'd like to go first.
Get it.
Imagine the pop that Erwin R. Shyster would get if he were to be the legend spot. I don't know if it's a possibility. I don't know what kind of a relation. I'm sure he has a pretty good relationship with.
He has a fantastic relationship with WWE.
Yeah. But given what went down last year, if IRS made an appearance, that would be like one. We're going to be talking about our favorite Rumble moments. That could wind up right up there with the emotional outpouring that would happen once they realize, holy crap, it's him.
Yeah. I don't think that will happen, because generally they'll either announce the week of the Rumble or the week after the Rumble who's gonna headline the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I don't know who's going to headline it, but I can tell you, I can almost guarantee you 3 names that are going to go in this year. One, because he should have already been in, but he declined it because he didn't want to go in during COVID. Batista.
Richly deserved.
Very much so. The other one, the second one, posthumously and richly deserved, Bray Wyatt. And then the third one, and it has to be this year because of where it is. WrestleMania this year is in Philadelphia. And in my opinion, there is one name associated with Philadelphia and professional wrestling, and his name is Paul Heyman.
Amen.
If you do not put Heyman in Philly, the place where he and his band of glorious degenerates turn the entire wrestling world upside down, I don't know when the shit you're going to do.
You're not paying attention.
If you don't, if not Heyman, it's got to be Dreamer.
Right.
And Dreamer doesn't have necessarily the WWE pedigree to do it, but at the same time, you just put Muda in, and Muda never wrestled a single freaking match for WWE.
Right.
Dreamer's the heart and soul of ECW. But Paul Heyman is, in my opinion,
the impresario.
The second greatest wrestling mind in the history of the business. Second greatest. I would put him and his mind over Vince McMahon.
Yes.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist for you to figure out who I personally think is the greatest mind in the history of the business, baby. It's the American dream, Dr. Rose, baby.
Yes.
The super genius. Get funky like a monkey in public, if you will.
And then for the women, since Punk is back, I don't think AJ Lee can be too far behind.
No. I wouldn't be surprised to see her make a
and she'll get a gigantic pop too.
Oh my God, yes.
She'll blow the roof off the place.
Yes. I wouldn't be, honestly, as far as the men are concerned, it wouldn't surprise me, instead of like a legend returning to be in the Rumble, like an IRS or someone like that, if they go a little ham-fisted with ECW.
And just bring back like Balls Mahoney and...
Balls Mahoney's dead.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, the two names that pop into my mind right off the rip are Dreamer and Bubba Ray Dudley.
Okay.
RVD, I think, is affiliated with somebody else.
And you got Sandman.
They're not going to bring Sandman. Sandman and Raven are two. Sandman, Raven, and Shane Douglas are 3 people that you will never see in a WWE ring. But I still think like they'll do.
Can you imagine the pop Raven would get?
Yeah, but Raven is almost as much persona non grata as the mention of Chris Benoit.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, I think to get, Bubba and Dreamer in there, I think is very much. I don't think Rhino's doing anything right now with TNA, so maybe even a Rhino appearance.
Do me a favor, if you're gonna bring Bubba Ray back, don't bring him out at number 3 like you did that one year. I mean, put him in the middle where they could say, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe he could win it. I know he won't, but But too often, that's one thing I don't like, is wasting your legend spot on a single-digit entry.
Oh, I agree.
And telegraphing, like
they did with Molina a couple years ago?
Yes. Come on. WWE, do better.
Yeah, as far as, like, women's legends, honestly, I really don't think there's anybody that you can bring back that would be a surprise.
Because you've brought them all back.
Right. The only person would be AJ. You know who would be a massive surprise? Beth Phoenix.
That would be, considering what her husband's doing right now.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I mean, Triple H at a post PLE press conference, someone asked him about his thoughts on Adam Copeland debuting at AEW Wrestle Dream, and Triple H's exact words were, "Good for him. I'm happy for him. We couldn't come together on anything. I wish him nothing but the best. I saw it last night. I saw what kind of reaction he got. I'm happy for him."
Yeah.
Adam, and he went to the effect and said, Adam knows exactly how I feel about him. I'm like,
that's something I respect Triple H for, is he will answer a question. He won't give a canned answer.
Right. You know who I would love to see enter the Rumble this year? Wade Barrett.
That would be cool.
You know how much I love Barrett, man. I have always loved that guy. But because I got to be honest, you guys hear my voice all the time. I would kill to sound like that dude. My God, what a voice.
And he's an awesome storyteller, too.
Oh, my God. Insane.
Yeah.
So let's talk favorite Rumble moments.
If I may, I have two more fill in the blanks that will finish up, and then we'll end with the Rumble moments like we talked about. And I'm wondering what order I should do these in. Let's save the best for last.
I'm about to say, I know there's going to be one that might involve some verbal napalm on this end of the.
I'll save that for last.
Yeah, save that one for last.
This year's Royal Rumble Iron Man, or Iron Woman, if you want to do that. I only put an Iron Man down. Will be whom? And boys and girls, when I talk about an Iron Man in the Royal Rumble, I'm talking about the person who lasts the longest time.
I'm going to do one, not one on each side, because I think there's going to be one person that we are talking about at the end of either Rumble in terms of we really need to start watching out for her. Zoe Stark.
I almost wrote her down as my winner. And that was only after scouring the roster, because I hate to say it, but I forgot about her.
It's not her time yet, but when it's going to be her time, God bless America, it's going to be on.
Yeah.
I love Zoe Stark. She is phenomenal.
She's one a lot like you were talking about with LA Knight. There's too much traffic in front of her right now. But once some of these people, because we got to start looking at, the horsewomen being kind of long in the tooth a little bit. They're starting to get banged up a little bit more than they ever have been in the past, or they're just not here.
Right.
You need some fresh talent, and Zoe Stark is somebody that when she was working the program with Becky and with Trish, she was growing right in front of our eyes by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
On the mic, in the ring, you name it.
I do think, especially now with Charlotte Flair's injury, I think it could open up for her, because I honestly felt like it, what we were going to be leading towards, especially after what we saw at War Games, we were eventually going to get Charlotte and Becky going up against the Kabuki Warriors, going up against the Kabuki Warriors, who I think would have gone on to beat Caden Carter and Katana Chance for the tag titles, and then have Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Becky and Charlotte, and that would have been fun.
Parenthetically, yes or no on Mercedes Moné? Does she show up? Kind of going back to one of my predictions that I made when Charlotte Flair's injury was announced, it necessitates them going out and trying to make overtures to Sasha.
Her, no. Naomi, yes.
Okay.
Naomi's contract is done with TNA, and she just dropped the Knockouts title to Jordan Grace at Hard to Kill.
Okay.
So Sasha, Mercedes, whatever you want to call her, I still think at some point in 2024 we're going to see her in All Elite Wrestling, and then we'll see her, and then we won't see her. We'll see her for 2 weeks, and then we won't see her for 3.5 months, because that's what AEW does best.
Speaking of AEW,
here we go. Just so you know, I'm getting ready.
The Bucks of Youth being revealed as Sting's final tag team opponents is blank.
I've been eating this all night. And I would like to start this rant mode on by saying, "Blah!"
How many H's are in that so I can write it down?
350. 350. And yes, I did say the three magic words that, drive me on this show, rant mode on. You mean to fucking tell me that of all the people that you could do something with Sting of all fucking people, we have to shoehorn the Bucks. We haven't seen them for God knows how long, but son of a bitch, let's go ahead and bring them back for this. Why? Just so we could be fucking reckless and possibly kill Sting in his last match? One, horrible matchup. Two, doesn't make any sense. Makes less sense than Swerve. Swerve and Sting would still be a great match. Wouldn't make sense, though. This makes less sense both stylistically and storyline-wise. I mean, you can't necessarily put them in, to me, there is only one thing that you could do worse than pairing Sting and Darby, not a bad pair, against Nick and Matt Jackson. Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. Fuck off. And that is Sting one-on-one against Ric Flair. It's the only thing you can do that's actually worse than that. Why? Because Ric Flair will probably keel over dead in the middle of the ring. The fact... So, I was literally thinking about this earlier today while driving around in that god-awful bullshit weather. Fearing for my life because I was driving through a freaking blizzard. Not really a blizzard. It's only a couple of inches of snow, but I hate driving through the snow, so piss off. And I thought to myself, when Cody was in AEW and they were so ham-fisted about just trying to make him like this uber baby face. And they had at one point, on a 4th of July episode when he wrestled Anthony Ogogo, they called him the American Dream. And he had the orchestral music along with Kingdom. And they called him the Prince of Pro Wrestling and all of that stuff. And I went on this show and railed about that, thinking, okay, this is the Cody Rhodes show. And I came to realize, no, that was all deliberate because they were trying to make us hate Cody. Cody was never going to turn heel, but they still wanted us to boo Cody. This is more ham-fisted than anything they ever purposely tried to do with Cody. And again, to that, I simply say, just no. Fuck no, hell no, hell to the no, and most importantly, and finally, how do I feel about it? In a word, no. In 2 words, hell no. Rant mode off. Holy, and to quote Clark Griswold, holy shit, hallelujah. Where's the Tylenol?
I don't want to fill in the blank now.
Go ahead. You can feel however you want to feel about it. You are on that side of the screen and you are entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine, and I'm also entitled to tell you that you're dead wrong
I wrote down the word restorative. Here's
Brian.
in light of what you just got done laying out.
Time. You are the smartest person I know.
And if I could be afforded the opportunity to give the rationale behind the word restorative.
Let me set this up. You are the smartest person I know. You literally use what I refer to as $1,000 words in normal conversation. Being in a conversation with you inadvertently makes me feel stupid sometimes because I do not know the words that are coming out of your mouth. And I'd like to think that I have a pretty damn good vocabulary of my own. I am looking forward to hearing how you're going to explain that this is restorative when it should be an abortion.
Yikes.
Go for it.
I'm looking at the answer to this question in a vacuum. Okay? I understand everything you said about Sting and what logically makes sense for them to do with them. And I'm looking at the Bucks in a vacuum. They have had a miserable 2023, and most of it, or almost all of it, was by their own hand. And the choices they made, and the decisions they made, and the company they kept, and et cetera, et cetera.
Self-inflicted.
Yes. I think professionally they're trying to turn the page on all of that. And they said, okay, we have an opportunity here to work with a legend. We're going to have these new personas. We're going to spend time running him down, and it's not so much Sting as the problem as it's the area he comes from and what he represents and blah, 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 and all that stuff, and I get it. But it's like any other gimmick we see. It was the first week we saw it. You know, because when they came out at the end, you know, after Sting and Darby wrestled, and all they did was kind of like look down their noses at Sting and Darby in the ring, and then they had that interview with Renee Paquette the following week. This is just the first little tidbit of what we're seeing them try to do. So I'm using the word restorative from the standpoint of the Bucks are trying to do some work to put 2023 behind them. I'm not saying whether it's going to be successful or not. I'm just saying it seems like nobody really had an idea of what else they could do. The Bucks saw an opportunity to, you know, Sting and Darby are probably going to lose the match. Or maybe I'm wrong and the Bucks will do the job for Sting and Darby so that Sting leaves victorious after however many minutes, you know, they want it to be. But in the process, like, they're going to give people other things to talk about besides Brawl Out and besides fights after a press conference and besides, I forget whose wife it was that left. I can't remember if it was Nick's wife or Matt's wife is no longer with the company, that she was working behind the scenes. She left and all this other stuff going down. They're trying to like bury all of that and put it in the past. And that's why I use the word restorative. I
get it. And what you're saying makes 1,000% sense. There's just one problem. There is a time and a place for everything. And doing all of that is not the time to be doing it for the final match of a god.
Yes.
Not one of the greatest of all time. A freaking god of wrestling. This isn't the time nor the place to be doing that.
That's fair.
You have been amping up Sting's final match, which is going to take place in the exact same damn building as the match that put his ass on the map in 1984. The Bucks weren't even fucking born yet. This has no place happening in this kind of format. Personally, my thought is it should be single match Sting Darby. That's my thought.
Which also makes a lot more sense than the Bucks versus the two of them.
Because if Sting's gonna do the honors and do the favors for someone and put someone over, it should be someone that actually needs putting over. Because there are a lot of people in this world, our boy RJ included, that still consider the Young Bucks to be the greatest tag team of this era, maybe even the greatest tag team of all time. Horseshit. Sorry, sinuses. The Bucks
get some medication for that.
I know, right? The Bucks need,
as soon as it's safe to go out, that is.
Right. The Bucks need the rub from Sting, like I need another hole in the head.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad I could get you summarily wound up on that.
Hey, we're talking about besmirching the name of one of my Holy Trinity. By the way, Brian's Holy Trinity, in case you haven't been following along, Bailey, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. My Holy Trinity, if you haven't been following along, Sting, Undertaker, Edge. I'm sorry. Sting, Undertaker, Adam Copeland. Real quick, sidebar, we'll keep this actually on the show because this is just great. So I'm over at Jen's house last weekend, and her daughter had a bunch of friends over. They were watching the new Percy Jackson show on Disney+. I'm in the kitchen making dinner because I like to cook for Jen and her daughter and her friends. I like to show off. I'm pretty handy in the kitchen. Cool. I come out of the kitchen, turn the corner, and all of a sudden just scream out, "Holy shit, it's Adam Copeland!" Who? Like, that guy right there. That's Adam Copeland. Who the hell is Adam Copeland? And I just realized I'm about to out myself as those girls already think I'm a mega dork as it is. I mean, already think I'm a mega dork. I'm like, he's a guy that I follow, and I'm a big fan. And then Jen's daughter goes, "He's a wrestler, isn't he?" I'm like, "Yeah, he is."
And then you proceeded to spend the next 3 hours showing them his greatest matches.
Nope, I didn't do that. I went, "He's one of my all-time favorites."
They went, "Aw."
One of the other girls asked, girls asked, "How old is he?" I was like, "He's 49. Fuck, he's old. Jen was upstairs. So I'm the only person hovering in my mid-40s to hear this. And I looked at that girl, I'm like, "I'm about to throw you through that plate glass window right there."
We should bookmark this spot in the show so we can throw the Dumbledore whelp meme. Well, that's what we should do.
Let's talk favorite Rumble moments and get me in a better mood because, I've literally just outed myself as apparently older and shit. And,
I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah, we talked about besmirching the good name of Sting, and now I got so mad I can't turn back.
Well, I have 5 favorite Rumble moments.
I have an endless supply because I am a Rumble junkie.
And I don't know that we're going to have any overlap, to be honest with you. I tried to avoid the usual suspects.
Okay, well, let me get my big fanboy one out of the way because it's my big fanboy one. Rumble 2020, number 21.
Yep.
The return of the rated R superstar Edge after being away for 9 years.
Yes.
And I make no bones about it that I am a ridiculously massive fan of the guy. And when he returned and nobody saw it coming, I'm in tears. As far as a sports fan is concerned, I have cried harder only twice. January of 2010, when Auburn beat Oregon to win the, actually 3 times. January of 2010, when Auburn beat Oregon to win the national title. November of 2021, when the Braves beat the Astros in Game 6, and Brian called me immediately right before the game was even over. And early December of 2023, when Jacksonville State won their very first bowl game in school history. And then Edge returning to the Rumble. Those 4 moments, I cried like a baby.
I'll give you one from the same Rumble.
Okay.
At least I'm pretty sure it was the same Rumble. Brock Lesnar's reaction to Keith Lee.
Oh, that was the same Rumble. Who's this fucking guy?
Yeah. That's one of those, like, more of a recent vintage, because most of mine are older. Well, no, I take that back. 3 of mine are within the last, like, 10 years. And then I have a couple of vintage ones. I don't have many from the 90s or when the thing first happened, because a lot of the early ones were forgettable. Mm-hmm. But Brock's reaction to Keith Lee was unexpected. It was genuine. It was, at the time, and it was a signal, like, we should be paying attention to Keith Lee.
Yeah, and now 2 different promotions have completely whiffed on Keith Lee.
Yes.
Great
and,
job, guys.
Best regards to Keith Lee, by the way, because apparently he's getting ready to undergo some medical procedures.
Oh,
I don't know what they are, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read about that earlier this week. Like, he's getting ready to have 2 surgeries.
That's
2 different things or something like that.
The guy cannot catch a damn break. No. Piggybacking off of that, this isn't one of my favorite, but since we're talking about this Rumble, 3 great, 3/3.5 great moments from that Rumble alone. Keith Lee, Brock Lesnar, Edge returning, and then the pop you got when Drew eliminates Brock, and follow that up with the fact that Brock Lesnar stayed flat on his face at ringside for 3 entrants. 3 people came to the ring, and Brock Lesnar is still flat on his face.
Yep.
Sold the hell out of that. That, to me, I'm like, that's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But the pop that Drew got when he eliminated Brock,
which, if I'm not mistaken, might be why you consider him a name that you need to remember for the Rumble this year, because let's not forget, McIntyre did what he did in 2020 in front of nobody.
Uh-huh.
And he's been talking in his promos, he's been letting it slip out a little bit that he wants to do things in front of an audience again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of his overriding motivations for all of this.
And have you noticed that they're trying to position Drew as a heel, and he mentioned shit like that, and he's not getting a heel reaction?
Nope.
I'm sorry, but they decide to have Drew McIntyre win the Rumble. I'm going to be happier to pig in shit.
You ain't telling me he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, or as Mater once said in Cars, I'm happier as a tornado in a trailer park.
Right. Because in my opinion, and I've said this on this show before, McIntyre and Bayley are your pandemic MVPs.
Oh, no
The work that the 2 of them did to carry their divisions through that time.
No question.
I mean, Bayley grew by leaps and bounds at that point because she found a gear she didn't know she had before.
The heel turn, my God.
The heel turn, but then, the tagging with Sasha, that's where she came up with Ding Dong Hello. That's where she came up with all that stuff. I mean,
Oh, yeah. She had already turned heel, that's right, because she had already ripped up the Wacky Way When You Play Ball.
That was in 19. That was on the debut of SmackDown on Fox.
Right. You're right. Um, let's get away from Royal Rumble 2020 and talk about some other
Okay,
great.
fine. Let's do Royal Rumble 2019.
Okay.
My favorite moment from that year, and I don't have one for every year, but we're getting into my list here. The way Finlay gestured Becky Lynch to the ring when he was checking on Lana, and he realized, okay, Lana can't continue, and then Becky's like pleading with him, let me go, and Finlay looks down at Lana, looks up at Becky, looks at the crowd, and then Becky just starts the power, the strut, the power, the man strut,
charging to the ring.
Yeah.
That one was.
That was one of the first ones I wrote down. I'm like, I love that. I mean, Finlay understood the moment. Like, okay, go ahead.
Yep. That one was absolutely great. The one that's okay, you want to talk about great Rumble moment. I do not know cannot remember what year it is, but it was the year they did the Rumble in the Garden, and Cena came out at number 30.
That was 2007, because I have another one from that Rumble.
Because Cena was supposed to be out for another 4 freaking months.
Yep.
And then his music hits. The only person standing in the ring at that time is Triple H, and he froze.
Yep.
And like, for all of the back and forth bipolar reactions that John Cena got, that night might have vaporized the roof of Madison Square Garden. That was absolutely thunderous.
I resisted writing that down because I knew you probably would, or I knew Katie, if you were participating in the discussion, probably would.
I could go back and watch that, and then the hair on my arm would just go.
Yep.
Because that is just such an awesome one.
Earlier in that same Rumble, everyone else's reaction to when Superfly Snuka and Roddy Piper were in the ring together. Time stood still.
Because the ring is full of people. And
Punk was in there. Edge was in there. I think
Kofi's in there.
Yeah, Mysterio was in there, and everybody's like backing up, and I think Punk was laughing.
Yeah, he was.
Because we know how Punk feels about Roddy Piper.
Yeah, he got caught on camera just like.
Yeah, they're all just backing up, and it was as if time. I think JR even said it's as if time has stood still or something like that, and then they just start trading haymakers. Well, as well as Superfly and Piper could do at that point, but everybody's just like, "Oh, hold on a minute, just back him, let him, No,
let him go."
I'll always love that moment.
That one is great. This one always stands out to me because it's just funny as hell and ends up being painful as hell too. Not this same Rumble from Madison Square Garden.
2000.
Oh yeah, 2000 was the other Rumble in Madison Square Garden. The 17 freaking times that Ty and Ty tried to enter the Royal Rumble, they got thrown out in a matter of seconds. But that one time that Taka Michinoku gets thrown over the top rope, his feet clip the top rope, and he flips, does a layout 450 splash onto the floor, and the first thing that hits was his face.
Let me see Taka again. Let me see that again.
And Jimmy Lawler, every time there's a break in the action, he's like, "Let me see Taka again." They replayed that crap at least 10 times, and some of them in slow-mo. And it's just like, oh, God.
That was horrible.
That's one of those moments where you needed JR going, "Somebody stop the damn match."
I have one on here. it's of a recent vintage, but it was kind of one of the more recent holy crap moments that I can remember.
Hmm?
AJ Styles debuting in 2016. He kept it a secret. There was no mention of it. There was no tea leaves to read, and he just kind of showed up. And Roman's reaction was good because he was he came out at number 1 that year. And Styles lasted a long time, as I remember. And Roman's reaction did a lot to like underscore the fact that this is kind of a big deal that he's here.
It was such a big deal and so absolutely monumental. And the now dearly departed, not because he's dead, because he's no longer with the company, the second biggest idiot to ever work for WWE, Kevin Dunn, completely blew the shot. The director, who knows what's coming, keeps the camera on Roman, not on the screen, to see I am phenomenal, and then the place goes up.
Yeah.
Talk about, you know what? Brian hates this phrase, but damn it, if this isn't a constipated orgasm, I don't know what is. Tell me I'm wrong, though. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
You hate the phrase, but damn it, that is like textbook. If that phrase were in Webster's dictionary, the picture of that would be right next to it.
Can we get some wet naps over here, please, for the
I mean, don't give it. Yes, it was absolutely awesome. Because we're all sitting at your house. Like,
and it was a bit of a delayed reaction because not everybody, I don't think everybody in the room knew what was going on. Some of you picked up on the music.
Well, the music was just brand new.
Okay.
Nobody knew.
I thought he had that before.
No.
That was created strictly for him.
No, that music wasn't even created for him. That music was initially created for FTR.
I didn't know that. I thought he brought that with him from...
No, that was supposed to be the Revival's music. AJ Styles came out to, as an Uber heel, came out to a song called I Am, which was pretty upbeat. And as that darker anti-hero character, came out to Evil Ways by Kurosenko.
Okay.
And
I thought he was already kind of like a finished product when you showed up and
brought
stuff from Japan or brought whatever.
Nope, that music was brand new. Because I mean, the only music he ever came out to in New Japan was a Bullet Club thing.
Okay.
He debuted as a member of Bullet Club.
How many more do you have? I mean, I know you could go all night on this, but
I don't have any written down. I can go all night.
Okay, I have one more, and it's my all-time favorite Rumble moment.
Okay.
Out of all of the ones, 2001 in New Orleans, Maven eliminating Undertaker.
Oh my God.
And what makes this moment for me is, you know where I'm going with this. It's not so much Maven doing it, but it's Undertaker's reaction to it. He gets drop kicked over the ring, and he does that flip, and he lands on his feet, and the camera angle, zooming in on the look of just like, what in the world just happened? And then it swings around to watch him like walk back up the steps and get back in the ring, and Maven like trying to beg off, like, I'm just trying to win the Rumble. I'm just trying to, and then, shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Maven has recently
hello to the popcorn guy.
Maven has recently told that story on YouTube about that. And initially Undertaker's reaction to it was not favorable. Like, wait, you're going to do what? We're going to do what? And then they talked about it, and he was like, okay, I'm cool with this. He said, and Taker comes up to me, and it's like, okay, how, and apparently the conversation literally was, I can't believe we're having this discussion, but how do you want to do this? And it was
And
Taker's.
just like a lot of other moments from that time period, JR on commentary. That's got to be the biggest upset in Royal Rumble history. What? You heard me right. And that's right around the time that Taker was like figuring out, okay, what do I have to do to like get my pound of flesh out of this guy?
Right.
I mean, JR at that time had an innate ability to just sum up what everybody's thinking, and it was just, you watch the gears turning in Taker's head, and it's like, okay, Maven is in for a rough ride here, folks.
Yeah. Couple of other moments in Rumble history that really stand out to me. Rey Mysterio winning the Rumble shortly after the passing of Eddie Guerrero. I mean, granted, beautiful moment. Probably when you look at it realistically, probably isn't happening unless if Eddie's still alive.
Yeah.
Which, okay. I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I hate the fact that Eddie's no longer with us, but if that's what it took to get Rey Mysterio to that level, then okay. Definitely that one. What year was the 40-man Rumble?
2011.
Okay, I don't know the year, so I was going with you. Matt Stryker on commentary that year. That boy marked out more than I could ever dream of it, and I'm loving every minute of it. And it's just every legend that comes out, he's just giddy. And then
leading up to Diesel.
And then cue up Diesel, and it's just holy shit.
You never know.
You never know, bro. That was, as a fan, I'm like, you know what? I feel you on that one. But here's something I'm shocked at that we have not discussed at all in terms of Royal Rumble moments. One word. Kofi.
I was going to put him down, but I couldn't remember what the first one was.
Without
going back and research it.
No, the first one was he was out of the ring, had his hands down, and Miz grabbed his feet, because his feet were on the apron or on the bottom rope or whatever. He grabbed his feet and pushed, and Kofi stood on a handstand, walked from the middle of the ring over to the steps, and got his feet on the steps.
That's right.
That's the first one, and then it just...
And I remember, okay, you're right, because that was Unico was in the ring at that point, and his heavy came out with the trike or whatever.
Yeah.
And the trike was parked at ringside, or the custom bike or whatever.
Do you remember who Hunico's heavy ended up being? It's Tongaloa from Gorillas of Destiny.
Stop it.
Yeah. Camacho. Camacho? What Mexican? Camacho is one of the sons of Haku.
Of course.
He's not Mexican. He's Fiji. No, he's Tongan.
Well, it's funny because I was on Wikipedia earlier when I was trying to do, okay, who's going to win the Rumble? And I was looking at... Because on Wikipedia, when they have the roster, they have, okay, here's the ring name, here's the real name. And some of the people got some explaining to do, shall we say, because it's not even close to what they're portraying. No,
Camacho, not Mexican. He's as much Mexican as I am.
All right.
So we're talking Kofi elimination saves. What's your favorite?
Probably the one where he leapt from the barricade. That's probably the hardest one. Because he had to go a long way.
I have two, and I have no idea where these balloons are coming up from.
My hands are in my lap.
I don't freaking know. I just work here, bro. I have two though. That you know what? I think it might be a hand gesture that's causing it.
What's causing all this?
I'm gonna try it one more time. Maybe not. Okay.
Maybe not. I just
Okay,
clicked
whatever.
my laughing emoji just to
Yeah,
join fun.
I know. But so that one is one of my two favorites. The other one is when Kofi's eliminated, one foot hits the floor, the other one lands on a plate of pancakes.
See, I didn't like that one. I just watched that Rumble. That was the one where Balor and Nakamura were at the end because they lasted all that time and Nakamura won.
The reason I liked it was because of how Kofi got back in the ring.
With the
With essentially the cheerleader launch, and they launched him from the floor over the top rope and over Jinder.
Yeah. I liked the chairs, the JBL chair spot better, where he hopped back from the announce table to the chair.
That one was what made that one for me though was the audience reaction. The audience went nuts for that one.
Yeah.
But in terms of like degree of difficulty, no, the degree of difficulty, the winner on that one is the barricade jump.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite one, was the barricade jump.
The only thing I didn't like about it is that for some reason they felt that they also needed to start giving that shtick to Naomi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like, to me, that was like whatever pay-per-view it was when they had both Nakamura and Asuka both do the mist on the same night. Like, okay, now we're just kind of being overkill. No, let this be Kofi's thing. Let this be Kofi's thing. What's funnier? Santino Marella only being in the Rumble for literally 1 second, or Santina Marella being in the Rumble between Beth Phoenix and Natty, pulling out the Cobra and Cobraing himself and then eliminating himself. Because personally, both were freaking hysterical to me.
I couldn't care less for that second one. You're gonna tell me you couldn't have found another woman to take that spot?
Stop. The funniest Rumble moment of all time, and I just remembered it. We talked about the son of a bitch a little while ago. Let's finish it by talking about him again. The national treasure that is R-Truth. Running to the ring, pulling the ladder out. Literally.
Oh no. Yeah. I forgot all about that one.
You can tell how I feel about that one because I'm getting giggles now. Yeah. Oh my God. But that is R-Truth is a national treasure and must be protected at all costs. But that is like one of the funniest. That is to me top 3 funniest things I have ever seen in the history of wrestling. The other two, by the way, in no particular order: Shockmaster and Titus O'Neil in the greatest Royal Rumble, falling and sliding under the ring.
I didn't write that one down either because I figured
that's not a real Royal Rumble. It doesn't count.
It's not canon.
Yeah, no, it's not canon. No, it's not. It's yeah, no. But yeah, no, those are the 3 funniest moments in the history of wrestling. But my God, R-Truth scurrying up that ladder, and it's just,
oh no.
You can freeze it and go, it was at that moment he knew he fucked up. Oh, we got to end it right there because I'm sorry, it doesn't get any better than that. That's just great. And trust me, there's plenty of moments that are boo worthy. I love the fact that they wanted Daniel Bryan so badly in the Rumble one year that they booed Rey Mysterio at 30. Rey Mysterio had come back and they booed him at number 30. If I'm not mistaken, I think that one happened in Philly.
Yes, it did.
Which makes sense because, they booed Santa Claus and cheered when Michael Irvin broke his neck.
But let's end on a high. We said we're going to end on a high, so let's not talk about the worst.
R-Truth climbing the ladder and trying to win Money in the Bank while in the middle of the freaking Royal Rumble. That's about as good of a high note as we can get, brother.
Well, gang, in case you haven't figured it out yet, the Royal Rumble is something we look forward to every year around this time, and we've enjoyed delving into it. We want to thank you for consuming our show however you do it.
Hang on real quick. One more piece of current events that we probably need to talk about. News came out yesterday that as of January 31st, Kazuchika Okada will no longer be associated with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has one date in February that he will fulfill, but he's no longer under contract with New Japan. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Where is he going?
WWE will throw the Brinks truck at him. They still won't
go.
And he still won't, but they need to make a splash because AEW so far is taking, and that's why I said my predictions at the end of last year. I talked about, who did I write down? Did I say Tanahashi?
I think you might have, and then Tanahashi becomes president of New Japan, so that definitely ain't happening.
Tetsuya Naito.
Okay.
Just because all the names, like all like the marquee names were being dried up, and I did not know about Okada's status at the time.
I didn't either.
But if I had a choice between Naito or Okada, I obviously want Okada.
That's not a discussion.
Right. But I feel like AEW has been the one that's associated with all these New Japan names. Okada becomes available. WWE, like I said earlier in our show chat, would swing for the fences and try and do some box office with him at Mania.
They absolutely would, because it would make perfect sense because of how absolutely talented he is. And trust me, there's two matches right off the rip that write themselves. Okada versus AJ and Okada versus Nakamura.
I'd love to see Okada and Finn too.
Jesus God. I mean, can I be honest?
He would and here's the other thing. We talked about how up in the air now with Seth Rollins. It's kind of the same domino effect that I thought Charlotte Flair's injury would have. Seth Rollins, that's a domino effect, a ripple effect. That maybe, like I said, maybe you go out and make overtures to Sasha to bring her back. Don't think Triple H isn't thinking about making a call on February 1st saying, or even before that. I don't know if there's tampering in wrestling or something. There probably isn't, but you don't think that Triple H is going to try and have an audience with Kazuchika Okada?
I'm sure he will.
And say, here's what we can do for you?
I'm sure he will, but honestly, I still think he's going to go to AEW because that's the trendy thing to do. And much like everybody else that's in AEW, he will be there. It'll be this big, massive deal for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then he'll be an afterthought, much like Jay White. Hey, we all thought Jay White coming to AEW was going to be the biggest freaking thing in the entire world. He's 1/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
We said we were going to end on a high, and now we're getting disappointed again. So let's just we'll put a pin in it right there.
R-Truth climbing the ladder to grab a briefcase, a non-existent briefcase, in the middle of a battle royal.
Classic.
I'm sorry, but there's your high note. That is the gift that keeps on giving. It is
moments like this are why we love pro wrestling, guys.
Yes, it is. It's a magical moment.
Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, and we should embrace that as a piece of wrestling that should be in a place like the Louvre. It is art. To go very Martin Scorsese on it, it's cinema. Our truth.
Oh no.
Oops. It's kind of like that moment when the Shield came back and Miz is backing up, talking all kinds of crap, and he backs into, and he's like, I'm the Miz, and he backs up into Roman, and he turns around and goes, oh, turns around. Oh, shoot. And then the beatdown commences.
Right.
But yeah, Brian's been trying to get me to shut up for the last 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and let and concede and shut my damn mouth. Brian, get us out of here.
We want to thank you very much for enjoying our show this week. Have fun watching the Royal Rumble with your pre-show cocktail or however you choose to celebrate. Thank you for watching our show on YouTube and listening to it on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, Intergalactic Radio for the OGs,
and also and a new one. And to quote Bully Ray on Busted Open, "Your sister's ass."
He
does it all the time. This and this and this and your sister's ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moments at the Rumble and all the things we've talked about tonight are why we truly love professional wrestling. Thank you very much for watching and listening to Wrestling with Egos. For Patrick and for KD and everyone associated with the show, we wish you all the best. And Babadoo.
Wait, one last thing. I just want to say, my bad. That was on me. My bad. Y'all have a good night. Be good, y'all. All right, how the shit do you stop recording here?